Welcome to Resource Sessions. I'm Gwendolyn Sterk of Sterk Family Law, and I'm honored and privileged to introduce you to our not-for-profit Hero of the Month, the National Association for Down Syndrome. We're happy to have two guests with us today, Linda Smarto, who is the Executive Director of the National Association for Down Syndrome, and one of our very own, Heather Bernal of Sterk Family Law. So welcome, everybody, as we get to know a little bit more about this organization.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming on. So, Linda, for those who don't know a lot about NADS, can you tell us what you're all about?
Sure. So we are the first and oldest Down syndrome organization in the country. We were established back in 1961. It was started by a group of moms who said that we are going to just take our babies home from the hospital and give them all the opportunity to achieve their full potential in life. And grassroots organization, and really that's how it all began right here in Chicago, Illinois.
And I suppose that really is how you would describe the heart of the organization or the mission that you guys perform.
Absolutely.
So, what kind of families or individuals do you serve?
We serve families that connect with us prenatally when they had just found out through a diagnosis prenatally that their child would potentially be carrying the extra chromosome that lands on the 21st chromosome. And basically, people contact us just to learn more about what Down syndrome is. And Down syndrome was founded long ago by Dr. John Langdon Down back in 1866. So we provide all the information that we can prenatally and then answer any questions that they have and really work with them and work with them in the hospitals until they deliver their babies. And then we provide congratulations baskets to all our families just to congratulate the birth of their child. And that is our hope is to start from the very beginning when they receive the diagnosis and through the lifespan.
Sure, you walk side by side with them, correct? That's what my
Absolutely.
understanding is. Now,
Yes.
what misconceptions do you think that people often have about Down syndrome that you hope to change through your organization?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that because our community wears their diagnosis on their face, that a lot of times people assume that our individuals are not capable of doing all the wonderful things that they are doing today. Um, I know that just working with the community, there's just it's to cookie cutter a diagnosis is not correct in any case, whatever the diagnosis is, right? So I always like to encourage people when we do outreach and education that never assume and judge a book by its cover. Never, sky is the limit for any person. And it's no different of that of somebody with Down syndrome. So one of the misdiagnosed, just I could say misconception is that babies are born to moms who are 35 years of age and older. So I always like to debunk that.
Right.
I was 24 years old, just turning 25 almost when I had my daughter, but I always heard like, oh, 35 years and older,
Mhm.
so, and a lot of people don't realize that, that is the 85% are born 30 to moms that are 35 years and younger. Um, I also think that one of the misconceptions also is, oh, I think that people always ask the questions, especially when they're first diagnosed. There's three different types of Down syndrome. So there's trisomy 21, which is the most commonly occurring genetic condition. There is mosaicism, which happens to 1 to 2%, which happens to be individuals that carry part of their genetics are half Down syndrome and half typically developing.
Okay.
So that's what mosaicism is. And oftentimes people, get caught up on that, like which Down syndrome is it? And I say, it's kind of, and then there's one last one, it's called translocation, which also occurs in 1 to 3%
Okay.
of the population of Down syndrome. So when you're when you're looking at that, and when people ask the question, well, which is the best scenario? And it's like it's almost like being kind of pregnant, right? You either have Down syndrome
Or you don't,
or you don't.
right?
So, and it's okay, whichever one that the chromosomal study comes back with,
It is what it is, right?
it is what it is.
Right.
Absolutely.
So now your organization's been a long time in its evolution. It was founded in 1960, is my understanding.
1961, yes.
Okay. And what inspired the founder to start this wonderful organization?
Just the fact that back in the day, that kids were really not brought, they were born in the hospital, but perhaps even either given up for adoption, or they were not given the opportunity to thrive in a household and to be given the proper education. And sometimes they would be listed to institutions. And that's just not the case. We don't hear of that at all.
Right.
Times have changed. We're at the
Sure.
dawn of a new age. And like I said earlier, sky's the limit for our community. And that's the most important thing to remember.
Sure. And that's a big change, sure, in terms of how it's there. And to give that support, because knowledge is power for the parents, right? Going through
Oh,
understanding.
absolutely.
Very
Absolutely.
interesting. Now, can you give us an overview of the services that you provide going forward? Now, we talked a little bit about neonatal, but come in, now you've got a child born, you're going to walk them through their entire life, basically, is what I understand of your organization. So tell us how you come alongside a parent or parents in a family structure and give them the support.
So sure. So once the referral is made to us, and again, that is the hospital, or sometimes the parents themselves will find us, or they're given these, we call them flip cards at the hospital, and they have all of our information to contact us. And there's not a time that anybody on staff or one of our parent volunteers would not go alongside the bedside to any mom and encourage her to take each day as it comes. And that is really the most important. And as much as we do outreach and education to medical staff, especially the nurses, the doctor, the geneticist, the neonatologist, they come and go on the first day. But the nurses are the ones that really provide the support. And they are there to answer all the questions. So we ask the nurses and also the social worker, you're wonderful at what you do, but unless you're a parent to an individual with Down syndrome, we really can take care of that piece for you
Right, right.
because everybody on staff is either a sibling or a parent themselves. And all of our volunteers, we call them parent volunteers, they go out and they will provide that support to the parent. So it's that peer-to-peer mentoring. It is that if a baby is having, because 40% of our babies have congenital heart problems. So if that parent, and a lot of times we have to remember that when our babies go into the neonatal, the NICU, parents are more concerned about their health and their well-being opposed to the extra chromosome. So sometimes it's very well be that we don't hear from that parent, maybe even for 2 weeks to a month, maybe even 2 months, because they are so concerned about the child that the Down syndrome is secondary.
Sure, sure.
But when they do reach out to us, even if it's an evening or a weekend, we always, because we know firsthand what that feels like, and we want to provide them the support. So I will say that one of our biggest strengths is getting back to the hospital or that parent or family member. Sometimes it could be a dad calling us, a grandparent, another sibling. And we are there to, talk to them, text them, meet them in person, meet them where they're at. Another level that we go to is sending them a congratulations basket. Within this basket, we have books, we have toys, we have knitted blankets that people have made for us. We have just all that information just to, and it is a beautiful basket. And it just is so nice to be able to receive something that says congratulations and welcoming this baby that oftentimes and years ago And I hate to say it, but even in 2025, we still hear from families that sometimes they're leaving. And that's what we're trying to really change without a congratulations, like, hey, it's going to be okay. We're going to take one day at a time. There is light at the end of the tunnel. We don't want any negative feedback. And
Mhm.
I can say that after, 30 years, I even had a geneticist who told me these are all the things your child won't be able to do. That's not what I want to hear the
That's
day after I
exactly
deliver,
right.
right? My
Right.
child. So we like to hear, tell us about the positive things. Tell us about our
Right.
kids that say they love their life and they're secure with whom they are.
Right. And it's a
So
child and a person to be loved and to provide love to others, right?
that's correct. And better yet, not only we as parents can share that, but now we have self-advocates who are going out into the community and are making, their own appearances and their own testimonies. What a
Sure.
pleasure it was to see our self-advocates on 321 go out and share with the community. Like, look at, we are proud that we have this day in honor of us,
Right.
right?
That's
And they're able to articulate that and to share that.
absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, joining us today too is we have Heather Bernal of our office, and she recently had a child who has Down syndrome. And, Heather, we welcome you on, and I want to hear from your perspective. How did you first find the organization, and what was your first impression or your experience like?
Well, at 20 weeks, I did genetic testing, and we found out that Charlie had a 9 in 10 chance of being born with trisomy 21. And that was pretty much it. I really didn't have much information. I didn't know what to do. I was terrified, just so scared. The life that I thought she was going to have suddenly was not realistically what she was going to have. So, fast forward, I gave birth to Charlie on December 22nd, 2024. She was 5 weeks early. They did the genetic testing again in the hospital, and she was indeed diagnosed with trisomy 21. I wasn't given much information, but a nurse told me that she had put my name down for a welcome basket. Didn't really know what I was getting into with a welcome basket. And then I received a text message from Jessica through NADS, and she was amazing. And a couple days later, the basket showed up, and it literally felt like a hug. I was overwhelmed, scared, and I get this beautiful basket with, like she said, a crocheted blanket. There was tons of literature, a onesie for the baby, toys, and you see so much stuff on the internet, and you try to do as much research as you can. But this was trusted literature that I knew was going to help me along the way. So,
It was personal to you, right?
yep.
That's really
Yeah,
great.
and then Jessica led me to their Facebook page, Babies in Bloom, which I'm very active in, and that's just amazing because it's all the positive.
Right. All the
So,
positives that are there. And there are a lot of positives. You have a little girl there that is beautiful, and she is smiling, and we like to see her on our team Zooms and see her from time to time ourselves.
she's my office buddy.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Works with me.
And Heather works full time and is able to maintain that. So it's a wonderful relationship. Heather, what would you say to other parents who may be unsure and they're listening today and they're nervous about seeking support and they're nervous about even what life is going to look like? What would you say to them?
I first-handedly know how scary it is, how it can feel. All I can say is reach out, don't hesitate.
Yeah.
You just, honestly, one of the best decisions I made was reaching out. Seeking support doesn't mean you're weak. It means that you can deeply and you deeply want what's best for your child.
Right.
NADS and the community around it reminded me that I wasn't alone and that there was so much strength and wisdom in connecting with others. You don't have to figure it all out on your own. You have people that can truly help you.
And what do you think the organization offered you that you didn't even realize you needed?
Um, Initially, I was just looking for basic information, but what I found was so much more. I didn't realize how much I needed connection. Other parents who truly understand what I was going through, who walked the path before I did. The emotional support and sense of belonging were things I hadn't even thought of looking for, but they made it so much different. NADS helped me feel less alone
Sure.
and more hopeful for my baby's future.
That's fantastic. So Linda, going back to you, what are the ways, somebody's listening today, and I think there's two types of listeners we generally have. One is somebody who is a parent of a child or even somebody who has Down syndrome. And the other is somebody saying, well, maybe I have a relative, a distant relative, a friend, an acquaintance, or maybe I'm just looking to give back in some way. What are some ways that people can get involved or support your wonderful organization?
Oh, that's great question. Well, we are always looking for volunteers, whether they are parents or family members or just people of the community that want to make a difference. We are always looking for volunteers to help in any way, in any events that we have. We have an upcoming fashion show. October is Down Syndrome Awareness Month. So we're hoping that Charlie this year will be able to walk the runway, or if she's not, she won't be probably walking the runway. But
Scoot the runway.
yes, mama can bring her down, or siblings can bring her down, whatever. And we have 50 models, and that's such a great event. But we really like to highlight Down Syndrome Awareness Month, and that's the best way we know how is from hope to get another prenatal mom walking the runway with somebody who is 70 years old, which was our oldest model. And that's so encouraging, seeing all the wonderful thing. But we also have a website that they can visit at www.nads.org.
Okay.
And that shows all the goings on in our community, all the programming that we offer, from the basket support to the mentoring program that Heather was describing to you, connecting with other parents. We have a dads program that is specifically designed for just dads who really need that support, in a safe place for them to support and talk to. We have a More Than Down Syndrome community, which involves those individuals who have Down syndrome and a dual diagnosis of autism. So they're primarily feeling that they're in the two places. Which world do they live in? So we provide a safe environment. NADS was one of the first who originated this program because there was such a need. So 3 times a year, we host workshops virtually. And we have one coming up, as a matter of fact, on Saturday, May 31st. And that is for this community to have kind of an open session. We usually have volunteer speakers who come. We have in this Connections group and the Babies in Bloom group, we also have workshops and a time and a place for speakers to share on IEPs. So when there's school-age children, how to get involved in the individual educational plans. We have programs for parents to help and to go out, and self-advocates. So our self-advocates, as we were speaking of, now that they're advocating on their own, it's very empowering to have them go out and to do presentations. Again, to anybody who is open, any businesses, any, fire departments, police departments, therapeutic places, anybody who really works with anybody, with individuals with Down syndrome. We love to educate and share how to bring inclusion, how to have our individuals fully involved and included. It's no longer like it used to be. There,
Right.
my favorite slide in my presentation is, there is no self-contained room in the real world.
Mhm.
And that's truly allowing, equal partake.
Access, right.
Yes, a platform for everybody. And that is so, so important. And, we were talking about what are some of the things that you would also like for people to know. It's always the people first. It's we like to call it the people first theory. It's always the person before the diagnosis. I can't tell you how many times I've walked into the hospital and they say, Linda, come over, we have a Downs baby in the nursery. I said, what is the baby's name? It's
Right.
the person before the diagnosis. It's not the Down student. It's not the SPED, the special ed student. We don't call the autistic kid the blind kid,
Right.
the deaf kid.
Mhm.
It's the individual first. So people first is huge.
Now, leading in that, you were talking a little bit about businesses, how you would go into the different,
Yes.
fire department, police department.
Yeah.
How else could businesses really support the organization to get this awareness and this inclusion really normalized?
Well, first of all, they can contact and reach out to us if they would like to know more and to be educated on what it is to employ an individual with Down syndrome, what it is just to learn more about the diagnosis and just be empathetic to anybody who has an individual with any type of disability in their family. We will come out and we provide complimentary presentations. And they can reach out to me to info@nads.org. We'll be happy to share with them. We also offer CE units for hospitals or in any places who needs education, continuing education. They can certainly feel free to visit our website and they can donate to us to further expand our programming. We are able to do these extra things because we have people who want to see the lives of individual with Down syndrome to be the best that it can be. And so we can help and expand by bringing our community together, by offering maybe ice cream socials, or this Saturday, we're having a get together for our new baby basket recipients. Let these families get together, share things with one another, share different experiences they have. But we want to be there to be able to connect them, because sometimes it doesn't happen. Life gets in the way. We get busy. In my day, when my daughter was born 30 years ago, we didn't have Facebook. We didn't have the internet, let alone emailing and stuff. So again, during the pandemic, we learned that we can get together virtually. That's a nice way. But to bring people together in person, we're going to be meeting in Darien at the Sportsplex this Saturday. It's a wonderful space for our families to meet, and we are providing complimentary coffee and donuts and bagels and fruit, and just for the entire family, not just for the individual with Down syndrome and their parents, whomever they want to bring. So we are able to do this when people are able to donate to us, and it means a lot, because without that, we are a not-for-profit. That's how we get our funding.
Now, Heather, what would you say to somebody that's considering supporting the organization? Why does it matter, especially going through what you've been through the last, say, year, right?
I'd say the biggest gift our family received from NADS was a sense of community. So to continue to help them helps us. I'm going in not knowing, I've never had experience with anybody with Down syndrome. You guys are just there. So that's what it provides to me. You're holding my hand through this very scary part of my life.
And that's really fantastic. So Linda, tell us before we kind of close here, we know a lot about the events coming up and we're excited to get involved with those, but how on a long-term basis do you suggest that people stay informed and engaged in what your organization is doing and what you offer?
Well, I would love for anyone who is interested to reach out to us. You can find us again on Facebook. We are on Instagram. Reach out to our email, our phone number, Google us, National Association for Down Syndrome. You can, if you'd like to receive, we have weekly e-blasts, and that really is a once a week e-blast. We try not to blast you out more than that, unless there's big events going on, but usually every Wednesday it comes out, and that really shares out everything that's happening in our community and how you can help us. So, and Heather, I just want to reiterate to you that I loved the fact that you said that we were just there for you and that we are holding your hand. And I just want to let you know that we will never let go, and we'll always be there for you. And this is a journey that we are on together. And I can promise you that. So when you need us at any time and any stage, we will be at the other end for you and for your daughter, Charlie.
That's 100% accurate, because you have been.
And, I'm only Heather's work family, but I know that our work family now will embrace that as well. So look at what has happened by that initial communication that you gave of that basket and those first communications. because Linda, your organization worked with Heather, and now you've got her family involved, and now through Heather, we've all learned about it at our place, and now we're sharing that with more. So that's what it's all about, is sharing it in our community, right? And doing what we need to do to support individuals. So thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. Any last words you'd like to share with us, Linda?
I would just like to thank you and Gwendolyn and the Sterk Family Law Group, and also Hannah, Heather, just for sharing your story and then sharing this time with us and getting the word out, because Down syndrome is one of the least funded diagnoses out there. So, oh my goodness.
Hi.
Oh, that's so
Oh,
sweet.
and here we're looking at beautiful Charlie,
Yes.
and she is absolutely gorgeous.
Yes.
Wow. So, but no, this has been such a pleasure, and I thank you so much for your good work too, because we also need family law groups, and along the way, we know how important it is to set things up correctly for the future for our community.
Sure. And we know
So,
the struggles that family have. So we appreciate everything that you do. Thanks, Heather. Thanks, Linda. It was a great conversation, and I appreciate everybody's time today.
thank you.
Take care.